sister sit in store what I'm about to preach on. Damn, sister, close the door. Watch what you step out on. I said, hey, sister, so before you become a sin, I said, hey, sister, there is more, even if you think there isn't. When you live your life day to day, there will always be obstacles in your way. But don't let that get you down, girl.
That's right. When you hear the sultry sounds of Miss Sophia Soj Jackson, you know it's time to hear from your girls. What's up, Tracy?
I am up and I'm ready. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. Now, Tracy, where are you coming in from right now?
I'm actually in what's a little town called Leavenworth, Washington. It's a little Bavarian village, and we're here for a couple days to do some snowshoeing and snow hiking, to get a little bit away from the Seattle area for just a little bit of time. So I'm coming to you from there.
Yeah, so I am living vicariously through you. Enjoy all of that action for me.
I will. I'll climb for you today.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Now, Tracy, I want to say thank you for being a part of our 30 Days of HERstory. This is the second time we're doing the HERstory live campaign, but the first time we're doing 30 days.
Incredible. I'm very so honored to have been asked to be here, and I love the 30 days. That's a huge commitment to women and our story, and I can't wait to watch everybody else as it is.
Yes, really amazing women that we have all together, and today is all about you. So tell us about yourself.
Oh, wow. So, well, I am an integrative nutrition health coach and a trainer. That's my career. And I got into this field because I had so many struggles with food, and I had struggles with my relationship with food, and struggles with my relationship with my body and myself as a person. So it was through my struggles and things that happened in my life that led me to say, hey, can I help other people get through this journey, in a more positive fashion, and help them along their journey. And so, that's it in a very quick nutshell. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that nutshell I know is super packed. So I want to make sure that everyone can connect more with you and find out more about your story. And today we're going to peer in a little bit into your story. We're going to talk about some things strictly: vision, voice, version, and victory, and how these words, what they mean in your life, how they've impacted you, and how it helps us to impact others. So in your opinion, what is the importance of vision?
Oh, I truly believe if we don't have vision, what do we have? And my experience with that was, even if I think about, and I'll try and pick this one area, was again my health and my feeling that I was worthy of health, and I was worthy of feeling good inside my body. Through all the struggles I had, I became pre-diabetic. I had food sensitivities. I was overweight. I was a yo-yo dieter, and I was always looking for, my self-image I was trying to find from other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I always had this voice in my head, a little voice in my head, that I believe she had vision. And she would always say, but, let's not give up. What if we can figure this out? What if, because she would see me as athletic. She would see me doing things that I didn't think I could do. And she was able to see me as a healthy person when I couldn't see it for myself. And even though it seemed too distant and too far away and impossible, having that vision and and then honoring that vision to just keep trying over and over until I figured it out. You know, and that can be any area of our life, right? You know, any area, career, and like
we talked. We talked this morning in our morning affirmation about being connected. I am connected. And that first important point of connection being our internal connection, being connected here, you know, and you're talking about, you know, this inner voice. She was able, and it's you, but it's still almost like an externalization of that, you know, it's tapping into this part of us that creates the vision, connects with the vision in a way that sometimes we can't when we're surrounded by, you know, the struggle and the difficulty and the problems. And, you know, that's so powerful, Tracy. Thank you.
And I always think about it. And I think I always had that a bit, that determination, that vision, that I could push myself somehow, or I could do things that maybe I didn't think I could. And then my willingness to, you know, jump, then look sometimes. You know? Sometimes made life a lot harder. But so I think you know, vision. You know, as human beings, we were so blessed to have that opportunity to have that. You know,
I mean, as Helen Keller said, you know, it's much more sad to have a sight but no vision. You know, it's important for us to create and hone and clarify and lock into our vision as much as we can. Now, throughout her story this year, we're talking about these major themes in our lives as visionary women. We know what it's like to, you know, build our nonprofits and build our businesses and set goals and have really clear visions for our organizations. And sometimes we completely lose sight of the importance of vision for our own personal journeys and who we want to be and where we want to, you know, grow within ourselves and whatnot. One of the things that a lot of us have experienced is a silencing of our voice in the process of defining that vision. Has there ever been a time in your life where you felt as though your voice was diminished or silenced?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. You know, in several ways, I would do it to myself.
That is so true.
And it would be out of fear of then being able to speak, because then I had fear that I would be silenced from someone outside of me. And so to avoid that pain, I would silence myself.
Like a preemptive strike, right? Like
yes. And I know now I did it, you know, it was just a concept of, you know, the brain trying to protect me, you know. But one thing I realized through silencing myself out of fear of being silenced by others, I literally would feel like a tightness in my throat and just a physical feeling, because I wanted to speak, but I know, like, in the past I've been told that's, you know, that for some reason that's not going to work, or you know, or be quiet, or shut up, or you know, in different areas of my life. And but at the same time I realized, you know, I had that vision, enough vision, that I thought, I got to figure this out and figure out how to speak. I've got to figure this out. You know, and I actually, you know, hired several coaches to help me get through that fear, because I thought, if I don't learn to speak, I will not fulfill my life's purpose. And so, you know, I did that work, and sometimes, you know, it's still tough. You get a little scared, but, you know, I had that in my prior career. I was in the construction industry actually before doing this, and I picked it because I wanted to prove to myself I could be in a I could do what men did, and this was back in
really?
This is back in the 90s, so there weren't a lot of women doing purchasing management and making the decisions for big, for construction companies, and it was another example of me wanting to see myself be able to be seen as someone capable of doing that. And what I didn't realize at the time was that I was actually trailblazing. I just didn't see that. I was just, at that point in time, I was just trying to create my own career and prove my worth and try and get that view from outside in, But it was a great career. It taught me a ton. It taught me, a lot about myself. I still actually adore that industry in so many ways. But, I was told lots of things at that time when I made decisions and people didn't like them. I was called several back then. And I remember I had a wonderful, my first two bosses back then, they were men and they saw potential in me and they talked me through that. And they said, okay, if someone says that to you, sometimes you got to take it as a compliment. You're doing your job. And although I didn't like it called, certain things, I knew I was doing my job and, but it's tough, so yeah, I've been told many times. And so I think the most important one though was the most hampering one was me doing it to myself. That really learned that people on the outside telling me is just superficial. So I have to really have to give myself the opportunity to speak. And that's up to me. That's completely up to me.
And we have someone here who's completely agreeing with you, about us being our own worst enemies sometimes. When we try to protect ourselves from that rejection and from that hurt, sometimes we end up, with these self-fulfilling prophecies and creating that pain within ourselves, You talked about, hiring coaches and relying on the wisdom and knowledge of other people in helping you find your voice again. And as you were saying it, it just hit me. We can conceive of voice training classes. We can conceive of that in terms of singing, we might even conceive of it in terms of oration, but do we conceive of it in terms of the voice that is on play in the back of our heads all the time?
And I think too, I was just so worried of, and it's another interesting thing. Sometimes nobody wants to admit that maybe they need some coaching or they need or they should have some help, and that's normal, and I love that you brought it up because, I'm a singer and,
are you?
Yes, I play my flute and all that. So I know what it's like to be, coached and trained for things like that, or for sports, mindset and performance and sports. So why would we think any different that it's great to have a coach for mindset in everyday life. And
exactly,
we're not failures because we're looking for coaching. It's to help us. And so, that was a big step for me too, was saying, I need some help because I'm not going to make my vision happen if I can't, again, can't speak and I can't say what I need to say. And, as I wrote a book with my co-author, your personal journey with food, and you were so kind to be an advanced reader. And I was just so appreciative of that
invitation. Yes.
Yeah. And I speak about that is that concept of, listening to that voice, that inner voice that has the optimism, that has the vision, and let her come out and do something.
Yes. Yes. My inner voice stopped me from breaking my intermittent fast this morning. I really wanted to.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. And that's only funny because we were just talking about that on your podcast just
Yeah.
on Friday. So, it was like the challenge just because I opened my mouth and said it,
Yeah.
And yeah, I think sometimes that's also another reason why our voices are silenced, not just other people, like protecting ourselves from other people, but sometimes we're afraid that when we open our mouths and say it, like it becomes real, you know? Now we're accountable to the success of this thing, or if it fails, it's public. And so opening up our mouths, sometimes it's the fear of success that holds us back from speaking. Oh man.
I wonder with a lot of goals, there is that, well, what if I am successful? I've never lived this way before, so how am I supposed to even know what that looks like?
Exactly.
And
your imagination can only go as far as what you've already fed it, right? So yes.
I got thinking too, one thing I've learned, I follow a lot of mindset coaches and things like that, and I think the biggest one statement that really hit me was I just I need to be willing to learn how to become the person I need to become to have this success in whatever it is.
Yes.
And like in my health journey, I didn't know, I had no clue what it would look like to actually to feel good, to have a healthy body, to not be yo-yo dieting, to not be self-loathing. And I just didn't know how to do it. And that scared me because in the beginning I was like, it's going to make me give up a lot of things that I really like, that I want, or traditions and things like that. And but as I allowed myself to go on the journey, and I allowed myself to have a good time trying things out or playing around with things. And then it was really interesting. My brain started to realize what could be possible outside of that. And then it started to, that side, the ego side, the one that's afraid, the one that wants to protect, started saying, okay, I'm getting it. I'm okay. Let's just keep going. So let's keep going. And I think that, again, in my own business and everything, it's like that. It's what do I need to do to learn how to become the person that I need to become, to have my, create this vision, whatever it might be.
Yeah. And we talked about that in one of our Tuesday tidbits in our Facebook group. This be, do, have, sorry. Yeah. You have to be the person who does the things to have the things that you want. Yes.
Yeah.
And we also talked, going back to your first point on, that inner voice that helps us. We also talked about, as women, we start off with that intuition. We actually start off with a knowing. We start off with this quiet, under there somewhere whisper that we know how this is gonna go. Like we get that feeling in our gut that's like yay or nay, right off the bat, the litmus test. And when we as women, visionary women, tap into that knowing, that gives us this special fuel to then be, then do, then have. And I feel like that's a key part of the conversation that's missing in general coaching, as opposed to coaching specific to women, because we know that intuition, when we rest on it, when we remember to allow it to guide us, it creates this power behind the being and the doing and the having, that is just phenomenal. Absolutely. Now you talk.
Oh, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, and I was going to say too, when I got that into my mind, and then also I allowed myself to have fun learning. It wasn't so, because I think again, I'm going to pick just my health journey. I started to make it more fun on what is possible. What can my body do? How do I feel when I eat this? Or how do I feel when I eat that? How does it physically affect me, my mindset? And then just being really, instead of emotionally, so emotionally attached to the outcome, I decided that I was going to just be open to the outcome. open
Right.
to what happened, and take that as data and information, because I used to flog myself emotionally and mentally for screwing up and being a bad person because I ate something or whatever. But that's I think it's such a key point for all of us to remember. We can have a really good time learning.
Yeah.
And it does make the journey so much more enjoyable.
That's true. That is so true. Now, you did talk about writing your book, and I know you have a co-author. And so I feel like if this question is going to be particularly insightful from your perspective, but when it comes to writing and speaking the story of our lives, the idea of writing our own version, of taking control of the narrative of our experiences and what we've been through, and how it's made us feel and all of that, how does it make you feel, that you can take control of the narrative, that you can write your own version of your story?
Oh my word! It's incredible now, and because in the past I didn't think that was possible. I thought that I had a really hard line with myself in certain ways, that because of certain experiences, then that's who I was, or how I had things I learned growing up, or however that those relationships came forward. So when I realized that when I could look at my story or my past story as valuable information, valuable insight, and then be able to take that information and use it more as like a learning experience, and then be respectful to myself, that and so many cases, and I know this is said a lot, but it's worthy of saying again, is that things that happen to us, that they can be completely out of our control. Completely out of our control. So if we can realize that, and then take experience and make it something that you can empower yourself with, that you can use to create vision with, to make a difference in other people's lives, that helps me a lot, because again, I always wanted to be perfect. I didn't think I could ever make a mistake, and so it really was you feel like you're on a little tightrope, and balancing every day with what you say, with what you do. And so when I released that, and then I was able, I'm able to look back and, through childhood all the way up to today, I feel braver, if that makes sense. I feel more confident. I found with writing my book, in some cases, it was a bit challenging, because sometimes I didn't want to discuss things, but I thought that they were really important to put in the book, because I know that I'm not the only one who has felt this way. And once I learned I wasn't the only one, I didn't feel like I had to hide anymore, or I don't know if that makes sense, because I didn't ever want to talk to anybody or admit to anybody that I might be sad, or that I was not being confident. I felt that I had to do it all by myself. And so it was very isolating. And so realizing, gosh, there's a whole community, in your community, this community here. When we take care of that narrative and release the confines of the old one. I hope that makes sense. I just
that is actually really powerful, that releasing the confines of the old story. And just like a book can have updated versions, writing our story, speaking our story once, doesn't mean there's an eternal full stop at the end of it, right? We're always allowed to update that version as we update ourselves. And you talked about something that stood out to me, about you realizing that you're not the only one. in terms of this story writing, storytelling, and understanding that our stories are powerful. And just a couple days ago, we had a conversation with Michelle Barker, who wrote a book called You Are Not the Only One.
I think it's so important, and it's not like in a bad way, like not like you're not the only one, you know. Blah, blah,
Right?
blah.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
more like you're not the only one, and it's, you know, let's just keep going and embrace it, and we can do that together, you know.
Exactly. There are people who understand. There are people who get it, you know. If we don't have to constantly explain the need for it, then we can move forward faster together, you know. And that's where, like you said, community is so crucial and
Yeah.
so important. And I think community is a big part of this next question that I'm going to ask you about. So just for you, in your own mind, when you imagine victory, what is the imagery that you see when you hear that term victory?
Well, I think, you know, what first comes to mind, so I'm going to run with this one. Victory to me means that I become a master of myself, and if I become a master of me, then anything's possible.
Yes.
You know, anything's possible. Not to say it's not going to be hard work. Not to say there's not going to be bumps in the road, that mistakes won't happen, that all this stuff won't, that the universe might deliver a blow over here or whatever. But if I have victory over me in a positive, strong way, that just feels so wonderful. Just feels great, you know.
Absolutely. We wanted in this conversation, this ongoing conversation that we're having, the old way, let's go back to your terminology. The old narrative says that victory is about dominating and being at the top of the podium and the big gold medal and being first, above everybody else. But, the victory that we're really looking at is, just as you said, that self-mastery, that calm that comes from knowing I am perfectly positioned. Everything is perfectly timed. Everything is exactly where it needs to be. And I'm walking in accordance to my purpose. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Tracy, let's remind everyone how to find you.
Yeah.
I got your website. Yeah.
Yes. TracyCromwell.com. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And what are they going to find when they go to your website?
Well, my website, oh my goodness, you can find, if you want to chat with me, I do a complimentary session. Right when you go to that site, it'll pop up a little scheduling app, and you can go right on in there and say hello and set up a time to speak with me. You also learn a bit more about me, about my books, all of that. I'm trying to, right now, I've started a podcast, and I'm working on getting the podcast link on there, but it's you can find me on Spotify. Just look up my name, it'll pop right up. But yeah, you'll learn about my coaching and, just a bit more about the way I think about food and how we are connected with our food, and our food connects with everything around us. And, so when I do coach with people, we look at every aspect of someone's life. And, as you know, too, it's like you can have stress or about a career, and that could affect the way you're eating, and, looking at that. So you'll find out a bit more about me on that page, a bit about my journey with my own food, and some pictures there.
Like before and afters?
There is one. Yeah, it's sort of a transition. There's a photo there of me when I was pre-diabetic, and, and really, struggling, and then it transitions to where I'm on my bicycle, and finishing up a Tour de Cure ride. I was doing a century ride, and if you told me 15 years ago I was riding 100-mile bike rides and eating the way I do and living, I would have been like, you're crazy.
And I love that you are willing to be vulnerable vulnerable enough to share these photos, because it's such a good way for people to visualize your journey, you know, and to realize, well, okay, well, Tracy isn't just talking, you know, she didn't just, you know, learn a few fancy words and now she's here. But no, this is your life. This has been your journey with food and how that interacts with your journey with yourself, your self-esteem, your confidence, your understanding of yourself, mastering those emotions, those emotional spaces, the ones that pull you towards healthy choices and pull you towards unhealthy choices. And, you know, how do you stand in your victory in all of these spaces? I'm so grateful to you for being willing to do that and for being here with us and sharing with us today.
I'm just very honored to be here. And I did want to give one tidbit of really valuable information.
Yes, please do.
It just came to mind was I found that when I ate certain foods, I actually, afterwards, I felt anxious and paranoid. And I started to connect that because I had high anxiety most of my life. And then when I made that connection, and it was just, again, finding out how my body chemically reacted to different foods. And if anyone can take anything from today, I just think it's so important when you're not looking for am I bad for eating this, but how does this actually make me physically feel? You know, and how does it make me physically feel if I eat specific foods over a period of time? I found that I would retain lots of water. I'd be bloated. I'd be miserable. I thought that I was just full. But yeah, so, you know, I wanted to give that really, really important tidbit because what we eat makes a chemical reaction. It affects our gut, which is connected to our mind. So if you're feeling anxious in your gut all the time and in your head, it's really hard to work. It's really hard to, you know, do your visionary work, you know? And so, yeah. So really it pays to figure that stuff out and then honor your body when it tells you that and start to learn to modify so that you can support your body and your brain.
Yes.
So.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tracy.
You're welcome.
Everyone who is watching, we want to make sure that you know that we'll be here every day in March at noon Eastern time with another phenomenal woman, and the grand finale on March 31st with our mastermind leaders. So if you want more information on our masterminds we have coming up this year for our visionary women, there will be a link posted below the video. And if you just want to come hang out with us and chill out with us, we have an event coming up in April. It's called Hey Sister, Let's Color. And yes, we have partnered up with one of our mastermind leaders and the voice behind the song that you hear, the Hey Sister song, Sophia Sojay Jackson, who has authored a coloring book for adults, a grown-up coloring book. And it's not one of those ones, you know, where it's like a million tiny things that you have to try to, you know, how many colors do you really have in your box, right? And this coloring book is full of affirmations because Sophia herself, being a mental health professional who sees financial health and wellness as a major part of the conversation on mental health, she's created this lovely book of affirmations and images to go with it. And so we'll be coloring, we'll be hanging out together and coloring in our event, but we'll also be having really key, crucial conversations on the affirmations that will be attached to the images. And not only will you get to chill out with us, learn from us, hang with us, relax, detox, bring it down a little bit, but you'll also be benefiting the Beautiful Foundation, which is our nonprofit partner for this year. So we're giving donations, percentage of our proceeds from everything we do this year to the Beautiful Foundation. So more information on that will be below as well. Thank you. Tracy, any parting words for us?
You know, I think I want to say is that thank you so much, Nadia, for having me. It's an honor to kick off this amazing month of speakers. And again, listen, women, you're worthy right now to create your vision. And it may seem scary, but you can have that vision out here, and we can take all the little steps along the way and learn how to become the person that you need to become. And you can do it.
You can do it.
Do it.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who's watched us here live. If you're catching the replay, just remember to #replay and let us know what in our conversation has impacted you, what resonates with you. And remember to connect with Tracy. I'll make sure her links are below as well. Thanks, everyone. Thank you once again, Tracy. It is only the beginning of 30 days of her story. Yes. And we're going to leave you with the video one more time, just in case you didn't catch it at the beginning. And because there's so many lovely faces in here, why not? All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hey, sister, sitting store, what am I about to preach on? Damn, sister, close the door. Watch what you step out on. I said, hey, sister, so before you become a sin, I said, hey, sister, there is more, even if you think there isn't. When you live your life day to day, there will always be obstacles in your way.